All right, so this is my first time really hearing about this Bob Vylan concert. I guess it's a punk show or something? I don't know. I never really had been into punk myself. I'm a folk metal guy through and through, okay? I'm a metal dude who likes shredding on guitar. I mean, I keep this by me for my easy convenience here to pick up and play at any time. I got my Axe Effects right down here on the corner of my desk. So I'm constantly learning and playing, which is one of the reasons why, and I know a lot of people like punk, but I like getting really good at an instrument, not bashing my instruments against the ground, per se. You know what I mean? And not just hitting the random 3 chords that every punk guitarist knows and screaming over it in a weird, not as musical way as what could be. I get it. It's all about rebellion and stuff, but well, look at what punk music is today. Rage for the Machine, is a great example of where that went. Even though they're not truly punk, I guess. But Green Day, people argue they're not truly punk either, but at the end of the day, modern day punk, it's just not good. So Bob Vylan here, okay? The UK police say performances at Glastonbury Festival are subject to criminal investigation. He has a Free Palestine thing, and he's actually calling for the death of Jews. I am kind of blown away by this. So, UK police announced Monday that the weekend performances by rap punk duo Bob Vylan, an Irish language band. What is an Irish language band, huh? Okay. Kneecap. At the Glastonbury Festival, now I've heard of Kneecap and heard what they were doing, are subject to criminal investigation after they led crowds in chants calling for death to the Israeli military and chants of Free Palestine. Okay, now this was June 30th. I remember the whole Kneecap thing going, oh no, June 30th is the day. I thought that was May 30th? Or actually, it was like at the beginning of March, wasn't it, when Kneecap did their stuff? I don't know. They got let go. If I remember right, it was like a day ago or something like that, and that Kneecap was found to have all charges dropped or something like that, which, people should be allowed to come out and speak. I'm not against that at all. People are not allowed to come out, and it is not protected by free speech to come out and call for the ending of people. It's not. It's called incitement to violence. You can't do that. So I don't blame the British for doing this because, well, here's the deal. The British in general are very well known to take whatever you say and use it against you and say you're breaking the law. There is no free speech in Britain. Not when a teenager gets arrested for posting rap lyrics on her Instagram. Okay? Not for people who sit there and just say simple things like, hey, what about the Muslim RAPE gangs? And then they're like, nope, you got to go to jail for that. There's no incitement there. There's no call to action. It's simply a call of accountability. But the moment you start calling for the ending of people, that changes. Now, anyway, calling for death to the... Yeah, you just can't call for that. You can't be doing that. They're not... They're our allies, first of all. If they were really committing atrocities, I feel like they wouldn't have waited for an October 7th to happen. That's just my opinion, right? But anyway, meanwhile, the U.S. State Department said it has revoked U.S. visas for Bob Vylan after their hateful tirade at Glastonbury. Rapper Bobby Vylan, who's obviously stealing the name from Bob Dylan, which is disturbing, who until the weekend was relatively little known, well, this is one way to boost your numbers, I guess, led crowds in chants of Free Palestine, and yeah, calling for, that's so ridiculous, death to anything, like that's like death to America, you know what I mean? It's so death to America-y, it's so culty, it's so insane. Anyway, the BBC said it regretted live streaming the performance. Well, you could have cut it, but okay. The anti-Semitic sentiments exposed by Bob Vylan were utterly unacceptable and have no place on our airwaves. It said, adding that it respects freedom of expression but stands firmly against incitement to violence. And see, that's where I draw a line too. I don't have a problem with cutting off incitement to violence. You cannot call for that. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and the UK politicians obviously worried themselves about this more than actual Brexit or any actual policies or arresting Muslim, gangs. But, I mean, hey, whatever. I guess I'll cover this too, right? Saying there was no excuse for such appalling hate speech. I'm not going to call it hate speech. I'm just going to call it what it is, incitement to violence. You just can't do that. Foreigners who glorify violence and hatred are not welcome visitors in our country, U.S. Department Secretary State Christopher Landau said in a social media post. Wow, if only if only the UK did the same thing. When people are violent, maybe you should get them out of your country. Hey, we can lend you some ICE, we'll lend you some ICE agents after we're done. How about that? I'm sure our ICE agent would be more than happy to go overseas and take that extra pay to help you get rid of some of these people that you stupidly let in your country. Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza has inflamed tensions around the world, triggering pro-Palestinian protests in many capitals and on college campuses. Israel and some supporters have described the protests as anti-Semitic, while critics say Israel uses such descriptions to silence opponents. Guys, you don't get silenced if you say Israel is bad and wrong. You don't get silenced if you say, hey, I don't agree with Israel. You do get silenced if you start chanting death and the ending of other people. I don't understand why this is so hard for the left. I really don't understand. For people who literally police everyone's speech at all times, they really cannot help but say the thing that's on their mind the loudest, and it's unbelievable how much they lack control. But they want everyone else around them. It's so insane how the left projects everything onto everybody. They call you racist when they're being racist. They call you a bad guy from World War II when they are literally acting like a bad guy for World War II. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. They sit there and they say, hey, violence is bad, as they commit the most amount of violence for their political party. They burn down cities. But yet they talk about January 6th all of the time after they firebombed a White House. Literally after. It was in 2019 when they did that, right? They set that church on fire. They sent Trump to a bunker. And then January 6th happens afterward, and they're like, you can't do that. When none of that sort happened on January 6th. Isn't it wild? Isn't it just crazy how hard the projection happens? It blows my mind. So anyway, here's the State Department banning the visas. This was like 2 hours ago. I think it was little Marco Rubio that did so. The State Department banned an English rap punk duo from performing in the United States after they appeared to lead a crowd in chants supporting besieged Gaza residents. If nobody really knows them, I doubt they even had a way to really get into America to perform anyway. Who's going to watch them? Visas for Bob Vylan and his group of the same name were revoked in light of their hateful tirade against... Yeah, we already know all this stuff. So, anyway, then we have a deadline. UTA drops Bob Vylan after... Death to the IDF chant during scandal hit Glastonbury set. At least it rhymes, you know what I mean? But anyway, UTA, apparently that's a record label? I don't know who UTA is. What's UTA? Let's find out. UTA. Better than a UTI, I guess. Okay, or it just links to other stories. Thank you for clarifying. Deadline understands that UTA executives made the call over the weekend to part ways with Bobby Van Vylan and Bobby Vylan. Oh, okay, so there are two Bobbies. Okay, gotcha. That's weird. After assessing what was said on stage. What is UTA, though? What is UTA Records? Okay. Record company. United Talent Agency. Genuinely never heard of them. Genuinely have never heard of United Talent Agency. Okay. Bob Vylan said on Saturday has made front-page newspapers in the UK after Bobby Vylan chanted, yeah, I mean, we get all this. So anyway, I don't know. I don't feel bad for them, guys. I genuinely do not feel bad for people who get on stage and call for violence. Yeah, it sucks for you. Maybe make better music. Maybe sit there and practice your instrument a little better until you actually have something that people can be proud of and you don't have to sit there and make a fool of yourself on stage just to get fame. I hope the 10 seconds of fame was worth it, you absolute loser. Seriously, get better at making music, and people will actually come watch it. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. Tell me what you guys think about this, and I'll see you guys here in the next one. Later.